Cathy Engelbert is out, and Adam Silver made sure of it. After weeks of explosive backlash surrounding Caitlin Clark's treatment in the WNBA, the NBA commissioner stepped in and pulled the plug on Engelbert's tenure. Her dismissal wasn't just a change in leadership. It was a calculated move to prevent the league from collapsing under the weight of its own mismanagement. Clark, the most valuable player the league has seen in years, has been shoved to the ground, overlooked by refs, and minimized by narratives that seem determined to deny her influence.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Fans were furious, and the league ignored them. Until now, Clark has single-handedly revived the WNBA's visibility. Ratings? Up. Sponsorships? Flooding in. Media coverage? Wall-to-wall. But what she got in return was open season on the court and thinly veiled resentment off of it. Engelbert didn't just fail to protect her. She downplayed her significance entirely. From shrugging off brutal fouls to brushing aside the narrative around biased officiating, the former commissioner appeared tone-deaf in the face of mounting tension. Her remarks belittling Clark's role in the league's success only added fuel to the fire, signaling a leadership that fundamentally misunderstood the moment. The situation became untenable. Officiating was inconsistent at best, dangerous at worst. Injuries were piling up, and fans saw Clark, the league's golden ticket, being targeted game after game. When Engelbert didn't act, Adam Silver did. His public response emphasized fairness and player safety, but behind the scenes, the message was clear. Clark is too big to ignore, and the league can't afford another misstep. Firing Engelbert wasn't just about bad PR. It was about preserving the financial and cultural momentum that Clark brought in. Silver's move was surgical. With one decision, he removed a commissioner who had lost the locker room, the fan base, and control of the narrative. But fixing the mess won't be easy. Engelbert may be gone, but the problems she left behind are still festering. Officiating remains broken, players feel unheard, and trust is hanging by a thread. The league now faces a turning point. Either embrace reform or risk losing the audience Clark helped build. The WNBA just went through what can only be described as a full-blown leadership crisis. And no, this isn't just another executive shuffle. It's a direct response to a wildfire of backlash from fans, players, and media. At the center of the storm? Caitlin Clark, the league's most valuable rising star. And at the heart of the controversy? Former WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, who's officially out after weeks of public outcry and missteps that shook the very foundation of the league. Let's be clear, this wasn't a quiet, behind-the-scenes resignation. This was a move prompted by chaos. The kind of chaos that only builds when a league fails to protect its stars, ignores fan concerns, and dismisses the very players keeping it alive. And while NBA Commissioner Adam Silver finally stepped in to put out the fire, many fans are asking the same thing. Why did it take this long? Caitlin Clark has been nothing short of a phenomenon. Since stepping onto the professional court, she's been a lightning rod for attention, boosting ratings, selling out arenas, and pulling in sponsorship dollars the league hasn't seen in years. But instead of capitalizing on her popularity, the WNBA managed to alienate both her and the fans who followed her into the league. Unfair fouls, spotty officiating, and a culture that seemed more hostile than welcoming. It didn't take long before the public started noticing a pattern, and they were not quiet about it. Social media lit up with clips of Clark taking hard hits with little to no protection from referees, and fans were quick to call out the league's failure to step in. The backlash gained momentum fast, and yet, the leadership's response? Silence. Or worse, downplaying the entire thing. Cathy Engelbert, instead of acknowledging the mounting concern around players' safety and biased officiating, doubled down. She dismissed injuries. She made light of Clark's significance. She treated one of the league's most valuable assets like she was just another rookie. That's not just bad optics, that's bad business. The irony? Caitlin Clark isn't just good for the league. She's the league right now. Her presence has done what marketing campaigns and media deals couldn't. She's brought mainstream attention, eyes, dollars, sponsorships. Yet somehow, Engelbert failed to recognize the opportunity in front of her, or worse, didn't care to. And then came the tipping point. The combination of relentless criticism, player discontent, and viral outrage forced the NBA's top brass to step in. Adam Silver, who rarely comments publicly on WNBA matters in such a direct way, made a statement addressing the controversy. He emphasized the importance of players' safety and fairness. On paper, it sounded like support. In practice, fans were less than impressed. The statement was seen as too little, too late. The league had already allowed weeks of bad headlines to pile up. Footage of Clark being hit, ignored, and targeted had already circulated endlessly. The damage was done. But Silver, in a rare decisive move, made a call that changed everything. He fired Engelbert. Her dismissal wasn't framed as a graceful exit. It was a course correction, one driven not by a change in vision, but by a growing panic that the league was spiraling. Because let's be honest, if the WNBA lost Clark, or worse, if she decided to walk away from the league altogether, there's no telling how deep the fallout would go. And it's not just about Clark as a player. It's about what she represents. She's proof that stars can transform leagues. That with the right attention, talent can draw crowds, drive media interest, and turn games into cultural moments. But all of that only works if the league protects them, values them, and listens to their fans. And up until now, the WNBA had done the exact opposite. The officiating? A disaster. Inconsistent calls. Obvious bias. And absolutely no accountability when things went sideways. Fans noticed. Players noticed. Commentators called it out. But under Engelbert's watch, nothing changed. In fact, things only got worse. Injuries piled up. Tensions rose. And instead of addressing the issue, she chose to gaslight the problem away. When leadership fails to protect its players, it fails the league. Engelbert's dismissive attitude didn't just hurt Clark, it hurt everyone. It sent a message that no one was safe. That performance, popularity, and promise didn't matter if the league wasn't willing to back you. That message didn't sit well with fans, or sponsors, or the NBA, which has a financial and reputational stake in the WNBA's success. So Silver did what had to be done. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Firing Engelbert doesn't fix everything. Sure, it stops the bleeding for now. It signals that someone, somewhere, is finally paying attention. But the structural issues? They're still there. The officiating needs a full overhaul. Player relations need a complete rebuild. And whoever steps into the commissioner's seat next needs to understand that this is not the same league it was 5 years ago. It can't be run with outdated ideas and tone-deaf policies. Not when players have massive followings, real-time fan engagement, and the power to sway public opinion with a single interview or tweet. This is modern sports, and modern sports demand modern leadership. The reality is, Caitlin Clark saved this league from obscurity. Her games are driving media contracts. Her jersey is breaking sales records. Her presence is attracting a whole new generation of fans. And yet, the league nearly fumbled her. Engelbert's failure to see that isn't just a leadership flaw. It's a case study in how not to run a professional sports organization. Clark isn't just a star. She's a brand, a business, a movement. And whether the league likes it or not, she has more leverage than any commissioner, exec, or sponsor. The numbers don't lie. And the league's future depends on recognizing that. Now, with Engelbert gone, the question is, will the league learn? Will they take this moment as a wake-up call? Or will they treat it as damage control and move on without real reform? Because if they want longevity, they need more than flashy campaigns. They need officiating that's fair, leadership that listens, communication that's transparent, and a deep, genuine understanding that their stars are their greatest investment. Adam Silver's move to remove Engelbert wasn't just about protecting Clark. It was about saving the league from collapse. But if this is the only action taken, it won't be enough. The trust is already broken. Fans saw what happened. Players felt the fallout. Sponsors watched the headlines. And if the league slips back into business-as-usual mode, the consequences will be brutal. This moment is a turning point, a chance to rebuild, to choose leaders who understand basketball culture, who prioritize player safety, and who know that public perception is reality in the digital age. If they mess this up again, there may not be another Clark to save them. So, to the next commissioner, take notes. Protect your players. Fix your officiating. Earn back the trust that Engelbert so carelessly lost. Because fans have made it clear, they're watching, they're talking, and they're not going anywhere. And Caitlin Clark? She's not just your future. She is the present. Treat her like it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Did Adam Silver do enough? Or is this just the beginning? And if you're as deep in the drama as we are, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. More meltdowns, misfires, and messy moments coming your way. Let's not pretend this is a win just because someone got fired. Cathy Engelbert may be gone, but the ripple effects of her leadership, or lack thereof, are still washing over the league. This wasn't a clean break. This was damage control in its messiest form. The WNBA is now standing in the wreckage of decisions that were avoidable, preventable, and frankly, embarrassing. And the league has everything to prove. Because here's what people aren't saying loudly enough. This wasn't just about one player getting a few hard fouls. This was about a pattern, a culture, a tone set from the top that said, we don't need to change. And when fans started noticing, when videos of Clark taking elbows and blindside hits started going viral, it wasn't just sports talk anymore. It was a PR disaster. Engelbert underestimated just how closely people were watching. Maybe in the past, the league could have weathered a little controversy quietly. But with Clark, every game is a headline. Every play is scrutinized. And every missed call becomes a Twitter war. That's the kind of spotlight Caitlin Clark brought to the WNBA. And Engelbert didn't just fail to adjust, she actively leaned away from it. She wasn't just out of touch. She was defiant. While the public was demanding fairness and accountability, Engelbert gave press soundbites that felt dismissive at best, condescending at worst. She shrugged off legitimate concerns about injuries. She made it sound like Clark's influence was overblown, as if the ratings jump, the sold-out arenas, and the social media metrics were all just a coincidence. And let's be honest here. If anyone else had been treated the way Clark was on the court, this still would have been a story. But the fact that it was her, the league's cash cow, the rookie sensation, the headline driver, made it all the more ridiculous. You don't just fumble the bag like that. You wrap it in bubble wrap and keep it locked in a safe. Engelbert didn't just drop the ball. She yeeted it into the sun, which is why Adam Silver had to step in. The NBA has a financial stake in this league. They've been propping it up, promoting it, and hoping for a breakout star like Clark to revitalize it. So when that star gets publicly mistreated while the league's commissioner acts like it's all fine, yeah, they had no choice. Silver's move was calculated. Not bold, not brave, calculated. He knew the optics were spiraling, and the only way to stop the bleeding was to remove the person at the center of the outrage. But even then, fans weren't impressed. Because the truth is, the firing felt reactive, not proactive, not visionary, just necessary. And now the league is at crossroads. They've burned goodwill with their most loyal fans. They've alienated casuals who tuned in for Clark. They've drawn criticism from sports media, players, and even former athletes who are all saying the same thing. This isn't how you grow the game. The officiating is the most obvious problem. Inconsistency, bias, a total lack of accountability. When fans can predict that Clark will get knocked to the floor without a whistle, there's a problem. When highlight reels start looking more like foul compilations, that's not defense, it's negligence. And Engelbert's refusal to publicly acknowledge that issue, that's what ultimately ended her tenure. But firing one person won't fix years of systemic rot. The league now has to confront everything Engelbert avoided. That means transparent officiating standards, real consequences for bad calls, a commissioner who communicates with players, not at them, and most importantly, someone who understands that this isn't 2005 anymore. Today's athletes are also influencers. They bring audiences, sponsors, and narratives. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's a walking brand deal. And if the league can't protect that, then they don't deserve it. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Clark shouldn't have to be the reason the league reforms. No single player should bear that weight. But because of Engelbert's leadership vacuum, she's become a symbol of what's wrong and what could go right if the league course corrects. So what now? First, the WNBA needs a commissioner who actually understands basketball culture. Not just the business of it, but the heartbeat. Someone who gets why fans are furious. Someone who knows that just play through it isn't a real solution when players are getting bruised, benched, or injured. They also need to fix communication. Fans want to feel like the league is listening. Players want transparency. Right now, there's a giant trust deficit. And it's not just about Clark. It's about the whole roster of talent that's watching how the league responds. Because if this is how they treat the rookie who saved the ratings, what does that say to everyone else? And while we're here, let's talk about the double standards. Because they were glaring. There's been a clear tension in how Clark was received, not just by officials, but even by some players. The narrative that she was being overhyped, that she needed to be humbled, that she hadn't earned respect yet, it wasn't subtle. And the league did nothing to shut that down. It's one thing for players to have on-court rivalries. That's sports. That's expected. But when leadership lets those tensions turn into dangerous physicality or fails to protect players from targeted hits, that's negligence. Engelbert had every opportunity to lead through that moment. She could have issued a statement about player safety. She could have demanded better officiating. She could have reminded everyone that this league grows when all players, veterans and rookies, are respected and protected. Instead, she said nothing. Or worse, said the wrong things. That silence? That's what lost her the locker room. That's what lost her the fans. And that's what forced Adam Silver's hand. And now, with Engelbert gone, the league is sitting in a very fragile place. Clark is still playing, still performing, still showing up. But for how long? If the league doesn't fix its structure, repair its reputation, and prove it's capable of protecting its talent, stars like Clark won't stick around forever. Because here's the harsh truth. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark more than she needs the WNBA. Her brand, her influence, her visibility, it extends far beyond this league. And if she walked away, if she said, "I've had enough," the ripple effect would be catastrophic. Sponsors would reconsider deals. Networks would rethink contracts. Fans would check out. All because the league failed to protect the player who made them relevant again. So yes, Engelbert being fired is a turning point. But it's just the first chapter of a very long rebuild. The league has to get serious about reforms. And not performative ones, real changes. Fix officiating. Rebuild player relations. Hire leadership with actual basketball IQ and media literacy. And for the love of the game, stop treating stars like liabilities. Clark's presence is a gift. Her play is drawing global attention. Her games are trending. Her highlights are everywhere. And her influence is undeniable. The fact that it took a full-blown crisis to recognize that, that's the real scandal. The WNBA has a choice. Evolve or fade. Prioritize stars or lose them. Led or be led by headlines. They got lucky this time. Clark stayed. The fans stayed. But next time, they might not. The clock is ticking now, and everyone knows it. The WNBA can't coast off this one headline-grabbing shakeup and expect the dust to settle quietly. Firing Cathy Engelbert was the league's emergency brake, but they're still speeding toward a cliff if they don't actually change lanes. Because fans didn't just want Engelbert out. They wanted to see the league acknowledge the rot. They wanted to hear anyone say, "We got this wrong." But instead of owning up to it, leadership tried to spin it. They framed her exit like it was a peaceful transition, a natural end of term. Come on, everyone watching knows what really happened. This was a reaction, not a resolution. And now, the league is skating on thin ice with its audience. People showed up for Caitlin Clark. They bought the merch. They tuned into the games. They gave the league everything it claimed it wanted: eyeballs, engagement, money. And what did fans get in return? Officiating disasters, a tone-deaf commissioner, and a league that looked allergic to momentum. If they don't use this moment to course-correct across the board, they'll be back in crisis mode faster than they can tweet a highlight clip. And Caitlin? She's been nothing but professional through it all. No messy interviews, no public breakdowns. Just consistent performance, composure under pressure, and the kind of media magnetism most leagues would kill for. And they nearly ran her out. That's what makes all of this so frustrating. The WNBA had everything lined up: media attention, rising talent, corporate sponsorships, an actual cultural moment. And they almost blew it with ego, silence, and stubborn leadership. It wasn't the media that made this a controversy. It wasn't fans overreacting. It was league leadership refusing to meet the moment. And now they're playing catch-up. The question hanging in the air is this: who replaces Engelbert? Because that choice will tell us everything. Will it be another executive from the same old playbook? Someone who sees players as PR risks instead of assets? Or will it be someone who gets it? Someone who sees that stars are the product? They don't need a suit with a resume. They need a leader with vision. Someone who knows how to balance power, protect talent, and communicate like a real human. Because if the next commissioner steps in and pretends everything's fine, they'll be out of the job just as fast. The fans are watching. The players are watching. And Caitlin Clark? She doesn't owe this league anything. She's already given it more than most rookies ever could. The next move is on them. If you're as fed up, fascinated, or fired up about this drama as we are, don't forget to drop your take in the comments. Who should lead the league next? What actually needs to change? And of course, hit that subscribe button, because in the world of sports meltdowns, this story is far from over.